Hi everyone, there was a request for me to make drunken noodles, which I have never made before, so let's give it a try. First, start bringing a pot of water to a boil for your rice noodles. These are found in the Asian cooking section of your grocery store. Next, you're going to need some firm tofu. When you buy tofu, it's a very wet, gushy block of tofu, so you have to push a lot of the water out of it. The way that we did it here was I put it in a bowl, I covered it in plastic wrap, and then I stuck a jar of peanut butter on top of it to weigh it down and push out a lot of the liquid. I'm going to cut the tofu into fairly large cubes, and then we are going to actually pan fry those cubes. If you've never had tofu before, it's very soft before you cook it, but once you sear it in a pan, it becomes more firm and closer to what people use as a meat substitute. If you don't like tofu, you can use cubed chicken or cubed beef here. For this part, I highly advise you to use a non-stick skillet. Unfortunately, I couldn't because my non-stick skillet won't work on this type of stove, and you're going to see that the tofu will stick. So put about 1/4 inch of oil to coat the bottom of the pan. Put it on medium-high heat and put your cubed tofu in the pan to sear on all sides. The goal here is to get all of the sides firmed by searing and then turn them to a golden brown color. For reference, this was a 14-ounce package of firm silken tofu. And remember that tofu is very soft, so it's easy to accidentally break it apart in the pan while you are trying to cook it. You can see it's getting a little bit browner on the edges. So this water has come to a full boil, so I'm taking a 1 pound package of rice noodles, usually used for pad thai, and we're going to boil them according to package directions, which will be about 5 to 6 minutes. I'm going to break my noodles in half because my pot is kind of small and short, but if you use a bigger pot, you can keep your noodles intact and have longer noodles. Look how dry they are. They look kind of like hay almost. But they turn out very tender when you cook them, and they can also be pretty sticky. I'm going to remove the tofu from the heat soon because they are starting to get golden on all sides now. Next, we are going to make the sauce. We finished cooking the noodles and I drained them in a colander. In a bowl, you need to mix together 1 cup of chicken stock, If you're a vegetarian or if you don't have chicken stock, you can use vegetable stock. You can use any kind of stock that's flavorful. Next, you're supposed to use 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, but I don't have oyster sauce at my house, so I'm using soy sauce mixed with a little bit, about 1/4 teaspoon of brown sugar. And I'm doubling my recipe, so I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. The next ingredient is Asian fish sauce. If you've never worked with this, I'm going to tell you now, it smells awful. Just truly horrible, like something from the ocean died in your kitchen. But when you mix it with all these other things, you can't smell it and it doesn't taste like that. It actually makes a delicious sauce, so just give it a chance. We're going to add some hot chili sauce. This is sriracha, but you can use whatever kind you have at your house. Add as much or as little as you like for the level of spicy you like in this dish. Traditionally, this dish is pretty spicy, but you can tone it down if you need to. Whisk it all together and then set it aside so we can start working on our vegetables. Here is where all of the color in the dish comes from. I have here a yellow bell pepper, a jalapeno, garlic cloves, and basil leaves, and a lime. With a stir fry like this, you can modify it to your taste. I like a lot of garlic, so I added a little bit of extra garlic. Notice that before I start mincing, I used the knife blade to flatten or crush each garlic clove. And I'm going to save myself a dish by putting that directly into the pan that I will be frying all of this in. Next, we have a yellow bell pepper, but of course if you have green or red bell peppers or orange bell peppers at your house, use those. The taste will be the same, it just depends on the look you want. First, I need to remove the stem and the seeds in the middle of the bell pepper. I do that by cutting the bell pepper in half. You can see there's a membrane that holds all the seeds, and I just rip that out with the stem, leaving the rest of the pepper there. You can actually save these seeds and grow peppers out of them, so I'm going to keep those aside and put them in my garden later. I give it a little tap to get all the seeds out there, and now I have an empty seedless bell pepper half. Gotta do it with the other side as well. Next, I'm going to cut it into strips. I start by cutting off the curved part, the tops and the bottoms. Once those are removed, the pepper very easily lays flat on the cutting board. Notice that I'm having trouble getting through the smooth, shiny, waxy side of the pepper, but if you just turn it over and get to the inside of the pepper, the knife goes very easily through it and I can chop a lot faster. Last, I'm going to take those curved parts that I cut off at first, the tops and bottoms, and I'm just going to dice those small so that they can also be stir-fried. Next, we're going to add a jalapeno. This is a really big jalapeno. If you don't like it that spicy, use a little bit of it. If you are not used to cutting jalapenos or working with hot foods, I highly recommend you wear gloves for this part. The oils can stick to your skin and burn it. So first I cut off the cap, the stem, and then you can see there's a membrane inside that I'm going to loosen with the point of my knife. And then I'm going to cut it in half long ways. And just like a bell pepper, you need to remove that membrane that holds all the seeds. And if you don't like it too spicy, it's really important that you remove this part because that is the spiciest part of the pepper. Again, wear gloves for this part if you have sensitive skin. Just like with the bell pepper, if you remove that membrane all at once before you start cutting into it, it's very easy to get all the seeds out. Next, I'm just going to dice the pepper into little chunks. And those peppers will all be stir-fried together in some vegetable oil. And that's a pretty hot pepper. It's making me cough just with the smell. The next things we're going to cut actually go in after the dish is cooked. This is about a half a cup of basil leaves that I'm going to rough chop. And then after that, I'm going to slice a lime into wedges. And this very last ingredient is a substitute. You're supposed to use a red bird chili, and it's very hot, and you add it to your stir fry. But I couldn't find one of those in Calhoun, Georgia or Rome, Georgia. They're nowhere to be found in Northwest Georgia. So this is a Chinese chili paste that adds a lot of spice to the dish. You can skip this part if you're not into spice that much. And last, just a little vegetable oil for stir frying. Stir frying is not a difficult process. You stir while you fry. I'm just going to keep on stirring and frying for about 2 minutes. So once your peppers become really fragrant, you want to add your noodles to the dish and stir fry those with the peppers. You want to stir fry your noodles with your peppers until they turn kind of a golden or brown color, maybe about 4 minutes. Next, turn down your heat a little bit, add in your sauce, and stir it in. Now we're going to fold in our tofu and basil. Basil is like spinach. It's very delicate, so if we were to stir fry this from the beginning, it would be cooked down to nothing by the end, so we add it in at the end. Alright, now plate it up with your lime wedges. You want to squeeze that lime juice over the top. And you have a pretty good stir-fry dish here. Let's see how it tastes. A little more there. Okay. Is it good? Do you like it? Oh yeah, she likes it.